Welcome back to the Pick 199 podcast, episode 44. This week we've got the NFL results and some not breaking news, some news headlines. I'm here with Muzzy, Snako, and Coxie D.
Hey,
lads.
What's up, everybody?
Let's get stuck into it. An absolute barnstorm in the NFL opener. Buccaneers 31 over the Cowboys 29. Thoughts?
Oh, that was a great game. I loved it. It was great to just see the two quarterbacks just going at each other, Tom Brady and Dak. And I'd say it was, it quite easily could have been the Cowboys game. But
Dak looks Dak, I hate to say it, but Dak looks so good.
Oh,
he looks so good. And I know there's a lot of people talking about how overrated he is in that game. But if you look at his sheer stats on that game, his completion rate was through the roof.
Yeah,
his numbers were like eerily close to Tom Brady's. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, Tom Brady being Tom Brady, the Bucks make a drive down the field and they seal it with the field goal.
Yeah,
but like any other team, Cowboys would have had them. But knowing that it's Brady and knowing what he's capable of, it's just what can you do?
Not much, I don't think.
Nah,
it's too good.
Just too good. We had the Texans over the Jaguars, 37-21. Everyone was sort of coming out, blowing up about Trevor Lawrence not winning his. So this is the first regular season game that Trevor Lawrence has ever lost,
including high school. I think first game since high school.
Yeah. So he hasn't lost a regular season game.
Yeah.
He didn't lose one in high school, didn't lose one in college.
Yeah.
It's insane. But also, people have to remember they're the Jaguars too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that they scored 21 points, they should be celebrating.
Yeah, 100%.
The Texans were okay last year.
Texans were good last year.
They were good last year.
Sean Watson looks pretty good too. So, But if you compare the teams, Jaguars are nowhere near. There's no way a rookie quarterback can come in and be the best player on the team and not win the game for them.
Yeah.
In a squad of 40, you can't win a game for a shit team.
Yeah. But can you even name Jacksonville's wide receivers? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's he passing that to? Has he got help?
No.
Yeah. I think he did all right.
I think the signs are good for the future for the Jags. And I think with Trevor Lawrence, it shows that.
Moving on, we had the Los Angeles Chargers 20 over the Washington football team 16.
Still the worst name in sport.
Football team.
They should just be the Washington Foreskins now. That way there's no problems whatsoever.
Or the Washington Red Rockets or something.
We had Seattle Seahawks 28 over the Colts 16. This is a pretty good game as well. Good to see Seahawks coming back into a bit of form.
Yeah, both these teams I reckon will be competitive this year at times. So, good win for the Seahawks early.
We had the Carolina Panthers beating the New York Jets 19-14. Pretty straightforward stuff there.
Oh, look, I think the Panthers they're in a world of hurt. I mean, you only beat the Jets opening week. You only beat them by 5 points. Jeez.
Hey, boys, could I just float this out there? But what do you think of a Cam Newton return to the Panthers?
I
don't know. I like it for the nostalgia factor, but I don't know whether or not he's the answer for them either.
I don't think enough time's passed.
No.
I actually think it's a good idea because Panthers will probably tank if they get him. Which will be good for them because they need to tank properly.
Then they can draft a quarterback.
Yes. So they can draft a proper quarterback in the next 2 years.
Get back to where they were 4 years ago.
Yeah. No, I think his decline's just been so rapid.
We had the Bengals over Minnesota, 27-24.
I said at the end of last year, I thought the Bengals were going to be better. They had a pretty young team last year, so I don't think they'll do anything, but I think they'll definitely be better than they were last year. So it's good for them.
Yeah, but I don't think Vikings offer much either. So
no, they don't. But you can only beat who you got.
Yeah,
the Bengals need to learn how to win, if you know what I mean. So
Cardinals opened their season with a good win over the Tennessee Titans, 38-13.
I did not see this one coming.
I didn't see this coming at all.
Titans struggled. They struggled
for
towards the end of last year as well, though. The Titans did.
But yeah, as soon as I said
they went on that, but they went on that run right before playoffs, though, too. Remember?
Yeah. I got on the back of them, and then they lost like the next 6 games.
That was the one team that we haven't added to the Pitch Fun 99 curse.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many teams.
They could almost be the poster boy. Them ones.
Well, when you think about it,
Between them and Wolverhampton,
Titans were the best defensive team last year too.
They let in 38 points to the Cardinals.
Let in 38 points against the Cardinals. I tell you what, the Cardinals look good this year, though.
Mm.
Yeah.
They might actually bring something to the table. It'll be interesting.
Potentially.
We had the 49ers 41 over the Detroit Lions 33.
Someone make a tackle. Holy hell. 49ers, we always thought they were going to be better than last year. They got caught in their division was super tough. So they probably didn't get the leg up that they probably could have had. But it's good to see them have a win. The Lions, new quarterback. They scored points, but both these teams have just got to stop some. So that's going to be their issue all year.
The same issue for 49ers last year, though, too, was they'd score 30, but also let in 40.
Yeah.
We had the Steelers, big game here, 23 over the Buffalo Bills 16.
Great game.
Great.
Good win. Real good win. Look, I mean, it just continues on for the Steelers. We just continue not to have a backup quarterback. That's terrific. Ben Roethlisberger's only about 50 years old. I think next year.
His shoulders are 80.
At least. I mean, I'm sure he's got arthritis already.
His knees are shot.
But look, it was a good win. Bills are a tough team. I think they'll be competitive again this year.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can come out on top of the Browns this year. That'd be good.
Today's game, we had the Philadelphia Eagles over the Atlanta Falcons, 32-6.
Most dominant performance of the round for me. Just absolute blitzed it. The Eagles are absolutely terrible. So that just tells you how bad the Falcons are. So it's going to be a long.
They're ready for that number 1 pick.
Oh, 100%. We'll have the first.
Just like all my teams, but we won't. The Eagles won't tank properly. So
no, but the Falcons will. That's the thing.
Yeah, you tried to tank properly last year.
No, the issue is you still have Julio Jones. You've got to get rid of him. Oh, he wins too many games for you. Just on his own. He'll catch the ball and score. What are you going to do?
He had a shocker last year.
All the games that he's won. Yeah, but still all of the games that he's won because of him.
Yeah, 100%.
So trade him to us.
Yeah.
For all of him for the next 10 years. I think it might work. Yeah, no, there's a lot of things going wrong with the Falcons. I don't know how they're going to fix it. It's not going to be a quick turnaround. It's going to be another rebuild.
No one in that head office can shut their eyes without thinking of Tom Brady. So, and that shit happened years ago, Roscoe. You've got to move on, mate.
You need to stop telling me because every time you do, I'd break down and cry.
One of the greatest days of my life.
We had the Kansas City Chiefs 33 over the Cleveland Browns 29. Another cracking game
between these two clubs.
Man.
Between this game and the Cowboys Tampa Bay game, I think this one might even just edge it out for the game of the round.
Yeah, I think so too.
Browns look good. I'm liking what they're doing down there.
Yeah, after last season,
tough, gritty team.
Yeah, after last season, you feel like that little bit of playoff experience now. Surely it's got to shoot them up a bit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think the Chiefs will build. That's not the best Chiefs you'll see all year, obviously. But I think Cleveland will do a lot this year too.
I think, but that's what Kansas did like all of last season. They may have won, but not by a lot.
Yeah, they just build it up. Yeah.
They grind it out and then smack it out for that playoff run.
Yeah.
We had the New Orleans Saints absolutely demolishing the Green Bay Packers, 38 points to 3. I don't think anyone saw this scoreline coming.
No, I didn't. Maybe if your quarterback turned up to preseason training before a week before the season started, then it'd help. But I still didn't think it'd be this bad.
No, I don't think anyone.
Do you think the Packers are? Do you think they're in trouble this year? If that's the tone they've sort of set.
The thing is, I feel like the Packers are in trouble every year.
The fact that Aaron Rodgers seems like just tuned out, just doesn't seem interested at all.
He just seems over it though. He just seems like he's just had enough.
That's what I mean.
As a team, they haven't really done anything for a long time. Aaron Rodgers just continually pulls them out of the shit.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, if he gives up, they're having a long year.
Your boy was good, Coxie, Winston.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, he tore up 5 pass touchdowns, career high. It's nuts. I feel like he was always sort of primed for that. I know they've got that other fella on the Saints. What's his name? Number 7.
Quarterback.
Name. They pulled him out last year a couple of times with Drew Brees.
I know who you're talking about.
Taysom Hill.
Oh, Taysom Hill, yeah.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah. So I think there was a bit of discussion there on who would take the reins of the quarterback, but I think you can't go past Winston. Like he only got out of Tampa because Brady was coming, and I mean, of course he's going to be second to Brady. So I think for him to get this kind of a performance in is just unreal.
Yeah. Look, he was, and even like coming off the bench for 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years, Coming off he's still looked like a really good quarterback. So it'll be interesting if he can step into that role. I know a lot of people were talking about when the Saints let Drinkwater? Is that his name?
Teddy Bridgewater, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bridgewater.
Bridgewater's the NRL player.
Drinkwater's the soccer player.
He's even close to the
Cowboys.
Yeah, Bridgewater, when they let him go, because like obviously a young prospect, then he had a really good season. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of replace him with another younger player. And Bridgewater seems to be sort of struggling. So it might have been some good business by the Saints.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very good. We had the
27
Thanks
in the full swing, boys. Going for number 1 pick, baby.
You're going to have to fight Roscoe for that one.
I think we might edge you out for that one, mate.
I don't know, man. Broncos are pretty average.
I still think that conference is still going to be the worst conference in the NFL this year.
He might go through, Snako. You don't know, mate.
Oh, no, mate.
Go through.
We might with a 5 and we could go through with 7-7. We could top it with 7-7 this year. Seriously,
I reckon even less. You could top it. Maybe 5. You might do it.
It could be.
Are we back to it? Is it a 16 game season, 18 game season?
Well, they shortened it.
They
shortened it again.
I thought it was 17.
Originally it was 18, and then they shortened it because of COVID, and then shortened it again last year. So
I had 16 in my head for a reason.
I think last year was a 16.
Yeah, so maybe it's gone up a little. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't know how many we got.
Save that for your trivia question, boys. Remember it by then. We had the Miami Dolphins narrowing out the New England
Patriots.
17 points to 16.
Yes.
Miami went on a late run last year. They're a young team. Hopefully they can work on a little bit of cohesion and build. But Patriots aren't the Patriots that we used to know, are they?
Yeah.
Well, and the big news coming out of the Patriots was that they're going to bench Cam Newton and start Mac Jones all year. So basically, Bill Belichick.
They released him, didn't they?
No, I think they're still retained him, but they're about to release him.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
because I think there's still that window until there's like a free agent signing or whatever. So if you release, there's a certain cap that you don't fill and you don't have to pay. So I think they're pretty much saying that they're going to release him, but they want to wait it out anyway because they can, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, but I think he's pretty much out.
Yeah. And the final game that we've got a result for is the Rams 34 over the Bears 14. Rams pretty easily, and Bears just look like the Bears of last year.
Yeah, I think the Rams are definitely going to go better with a better, more experienced, seasoned quarterback. I think this year, I think they sort of lacked it a little bit. Not that Jared Goff was bad, but I think having a little bit more experience there, and I think it'll really suit them. So,
I think for LA, like you said, Jake, Jared Goff, I think he well and truly had that second year syndrome after that they won the Super Bowl. So, but Andy Dalton not getting a good run out of that Chicago Bears outfit. So, your boy,
poor old Andy.
No, very good. That's pretty much the wrap up for this week of the NFL. We are going to try and get a special guest to talk NFL with us within the next few weeks. Whether or not he's available will be the question. But
we'll see.
Yeah, very good. Well, let's move on to some sports headlines that we've had during the week. So first up, I just want to congratulate the Melbourne Demons and Western Bulldogs for making it through to the AFL Grand Final for 2021.
Did not see the Bulldogs getting through here.
No, I don't think
especially that scoreline. I did not see that coming out.
Both the scorelines no one saw. Yeah. I mean, Melbourne just looked dominant, and Geelong just looked lost again. Semi-final Blues, as they do every year. So sucked into them.
It's the first time I've ever covered the AFL, so 44 episodes or whatever it is, but we finally got there.
Yeah, we will look to cover the AFL a little bit more in the future, but for now, we'll keep it to
It's Demons' first time back in a long time, isn't it?
Yeah,
it was like the first time they played finals in about 20 years, I think, and then now they're into the grand final for the first time.
There's another example of a team struggling to draft well. And when they have drafted well, have lost their players. I mean, just it's good to see that management seems to have tightened the schedule a little bit better.
Well, Melbourne had similar to St Kilda in the last few years. They recruited very young, and then they're seeing the fruits of that sort of pain through the last few years. So they're definitely seeing the fruits of their labour, and good to see Western Bulldogs sort of bouncing back from those disappointing couple of years in the middle there after their premiership win.
Yeah, they had a bit of a lag there after their premiership win, but they've bounced back again. Did not see this coming, especially that game. I thought Melbourne
just even the gaps between the
gap, they have some shrellackings. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in 2 weeks' time. 2 week layover between these games to help around border and. Because they've got to go to Western Australia, so it's 2 week gap. Normally, traditionally, there's a 1 week gap, but we've got to stretch it out. So.
Yeah, no, very good. Snaker, did you have some news in regards to anything?
Yeah, I've got a little bit on the cricket. Now, it's a little bit of news and a little bit of a blow up. So the Indian cricket, India versus England, was pulled up short due to a COVID break in the Indian camp. Now, this happened to be a trainer or a team person. My issue with it is, I understand, but that person had no contact with the playing group, for one. But this is now the third tour in a row that the Indian cricket team have tried to pull out of before the end of the tour. So they tried to pull out on Australia last year. They played the first 4 games. The first 3 games, tried to pull out of the 4th and last. They've done the same to South Africa, but trying to shorten the tour there. And now they've done it here to England. Now, you think a COVID outbreak, and you would think that with the world the way it is at the minute, that you would understand. And a lot of people do. We understand the situations and that we need to be adaptable. the thing that's frustrating about this is it comes 9 days before the IPL starts in the UAE. These players needed to make it to the UAE to fulfill their contracts that are all, especially for the Indian players, they're multi-million-dollar contracts. These are like 6 weeks work, $10 million contracts.
Yeah.
For some of them. So the idea is that they always knew that they were going to pull out.
Yeah.
And they were going to have to make it to the UAE. And the only way they could do that is by not playing this game. So there is a conspiracy there. And it's not the first time they've been accused of it. So where there's smoke, there's fire for me.
You think the ICC should hand down some sort of penalty for that, though?
Well, the issue is
a financial penalty or a points deduction for the Test series or something.
Well, the thing is, like, how do you prove these allegations? Because there was a positive COVID case. Just to everyone that has an ounce of common sense, we can sort of see that there's a pattern to it. Like, and the fact of the matter is, they were on a plane 24 hours later.
Yeah.
Like, and they were saying that they couldn't play because they were waiting for the BCCI, which is the Indian Cricket Board. They were waiting for them to pass it down, so they had no sleep. They didn't get to bed until 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, please, like, come on, like, it just seemed like a heap of bad excuses. This Test match was building to be one of the biggest Test matches we've seen in a long time. Test cricket is the heart and soul of the game, and if India, who are the biggest nation in the world when it comes to cricket and one of the biggest income providers, if they're going to do this, they're making a mockery out of the sport. So it's big news. There's a reason why Virat's got a bad name and he leads this team. So it's not great form from India, and I think it's something that the ICC especially really needs to monitor, because if this happens again, like an Australian summer, if they pull out of a New Year's Test match at Sydney with 60,000 people, that's big money for Australia there. Like, and this would have been a big money game for England. So they don't roll around all the time. So it's disappointing.
Well, essentially, it's like clears out any possibility for England to draw the Test series as well. So
that's exactly it. So they're talking about now playing a make-up game in the year 2022. Now, the year 2022, that is a completely different team than what you're going to play right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So England's Test team at the minute has been shaped for one thing and one thing only, and that's the Ashes in December. So their Test team at the minute is full of experienced players that are peaking towards a final charge at an Ashes in Australia. So the England team in 2 years is not going to be as strong as the one it is now. Because as soon as this Ashes summer's over, Jimmy Anderson will retire, Broad will retire. Like, there's so many. So it's going to be a completely different side, and India win it, and all of a sudden they're, you know what I mean? Like, it's poor form from me, and I think they should just have to take the licks.
Yep, fair. Did you have any more news?
I got a little bit on the Australian rugby. Great win on Sunday by the boys over the South African Springbok. But just a special shout out to Quade Cooper. Now, I did take the piss out of him a little bit.
A little bit. A non-Australian citizen. Yeah, go on.
Well, he isn't. So let's just go there. I think
he ought to be now.
I'll be signing a petition as soon as it gets handed around, let's be honest. The worst Australian accent in history, but I'll take it. The thing of the matter is, like, this guy hasn't really played rugby since 2017. So he went across and played Japanese rugby for a little bit, but that got shut down because of COVID. So 2017 was the last time he played for the Wallabies. He was constantly blamed for his shortcomings and never really... There's more issues to Australian rugby in 2017 than Quade Cooper.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Every other
issue. He was sort of made out to be the
scapegoat
for a lot of their issues.
He's the Mitchell Pearce of Australian rugby. But let's be honest, like, he just cops it from all angles. The guy's gone away, and his comments at the end of the game when they were giving him a rap, and his what he said to Sonny Bill, who's really turned his life around and focused him up, and he's done wonders for him as a person, let alone as a football player. It's a credit to both of them. It's not the first story we've heard about Sonny Bill doing stuff like this. He brought Quade into his house for 2-3 months, and he taught him not only how to be a football player, but he taught him how to be a man, and that you don't just play football for 80 minutes a week. You play football every day of the week and every minute. Like, you've got to live and breathe a certain mentality. And like, Quade stepped up there at some pretty crucial moments on the weekend, and you could see that he was a different man inside. And all the power to him. It's a
lot more composed.
It's a really, really, really good redemption story. And I honestly couldn't be happier for him.
Oh, very good. Well, let's jump across to the UFC quickly. We had the debut of Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, and didn't he put on a show for the UFC? Absolute monster. I think there was some comparisons between him and Conor McGregor after the fight, and Paddy just goes, "Nah, I'm not like him." Like,
no, he's too much fun.
I'm Paddy. I'm myself. And I was like, yeah, fuck off.
Go and watch. Just go on YouTube his Cage Warrior stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it is some of the best footage you will ever see.
He's such a character, man. Like, he's a crack up.
He's so good.
True-blooded Scouser, mate.
Yeah. I just love his walk. His walk after the fight is just great. I love it. It's great.
In other results, we had Khalil Roundtree Jr. winning over Modestas Bukauskas. We had Alex Morono beating David Sawada. Tom Aspinall, who's looking like a pretty good contender for that heavyweight division, getting the good win over Sergey Spivak. And Derek Brunson stops another run by Darren Till.
Yes.
This was probably one of the biggest results in the UFC for a little while, because Darren Till, after he lost to, was it Tyron Woodley that he lost to? Oh, no, Kamaru.
Kamaru Usman.
Yeah. After he lost there, he just hasn't looked the same since. And and I think Derek Brunson has come out and said that he's been training a lot harder. He's going to make one final push for that middleweight championship fight against Israel. But whether or not that happens will be yet to be decided.
Yeah. And look, I think Derek Brunson's been around for a long time. I know his record's not that deep, but he has been around for a while. And he's one of those guys that you sort of felt like if he entered the UFC a bit earlier and a bit harder, he would have been a contender straight up. And he's so talented, and it's just unfortunate that he's sort of towards the end of his career. But and Darren Till, his career is so up and down. Like, it seems like that fight that he needs to get the championship fight, or to get that belt fight, he just happens to lose it, or happens to come across a guy that seems to be firing just a little bit tougher than he is, and just lets it slip.
It reminds me a little bit of Bisping. Do you know Bisping? Like, he used to get close, and he just always lose that fight. And just drop, he just could never quite get there. Eventually, he got there, and he won his world title. But he does remind me a lot of that sort of story, like, of just gets close.
He also did move up that weight class from welterweight.
Yeah,
I'm fairly sure. So, it's going to be interesting to see how well Derek Brunson goes, like, in the next few months. Like, considering that he said he's turned his training regime around a whole lot, changed it up completely different, and he's been looking good ever since. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes in the future.
Be interesting to see him try and submit bloody Stylebender.
Yeah. Well, he has to get that fight first, though, too. Remember, he did lose to both Stylebender and Robert Whittaker, so
Whittaker's got to be close to a rematch there. So Whittaker deserves that fight.
It's tough with the grinding fighters like Derek Brunson and Whittaker, and in terms, like, their wrestling so good, but Stylebender's defensive wrestling it's so sharp, that it's so hard to get in and get those spots where those boys need.
And they can't beat him on the feet.
So every time someone's tried to come in close to Israel, is like he's just kicked him in the calf and like just shivered their leg before they've even had a chance. So
Whitaker's still limping.
No, very good. Well, let's jump across to some NBA news. We had some inductees to the Naismith Hall of Fame, and we had some pretty impressive inductees this year. So we had Rick Adelman, coach, Chris Bosh, player for Miami Heat on that run with LeBron, Paul Pierce, obviously great run with the Boston Celtics, Bill Russell, Ben Wallace, Chris Webber, Jay Wright, Yolanda Griffith. Australian Lauren Jackson has made it into the
tremendous effort.
Insane, first Australian to make it into the Hall of Fame too. So big ups to her.
Let's be honest, no one's even close to being in there after her. So
let's I will give a quick shout out to Bill Russell though. Got inducted as a player and now as a coach.
As a coach,
that is incredible effort.
Incredible stuff. The transition, not a lot of people can transition from being such a great player into being a great coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We also had Val Ackerman, Howard Garfinkel, Cotton Fitzsimmons, Bob Dandridge, and now we have Tony Kukoc, legend for the Bulls, on that run for the three-peat with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. We also have Pearl Moore and Clarence Fats Jenkins. So congratulations to all those people that have made it into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Forever inducted.
Chris Webber, I think, I don't know how he made it, never won a title. So
it's about the story. It's about the journey.
He didn't even win a college comp, did he? Did they take that off him?
He lost in the last game.
Yeah, that's right. But then didn't they even take his second place off him because they were getting paid? And there's a whole thing about it, isn't
it? They sort of all that's just been swept under the rug basically because they were just like everyone was getting it, so because they had a whole bunch of people after it come out. Yeah.
Oh, just trying to
leave him be.
There's a story to it. That's all. And I was trying to get under Muscle's skin about how shit the Kings are.
No, very good. So finally in the news, we had Aussie Daniel Ricciardo pulling out a massive win in the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. I mean,
on the shoey.
The quickest start I've ever seen him do in a Formula One car. He got to the lead on the first lap and held it from there pretty much. We also had Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have another incident. From my perspective, it seems like Lewis didn't give him enough room to get through the track, and Max Verstappen just still not yielding to anything too. So realistically, they're both as bad as each other.
Did you see Max after? Max just got out of the car and he just walked off. Did not check on Lewis. Did not even turn around. He just walked.
Yeah.
Well, I think they sort of acknowledged after the last incident that they weren't going to have anything to do with each other. And they weren't interested in that at all.
This could be the rivalry that like rivals like Lewis Hamilton's.
Max is leading in points at the moment.
No, I think Lewis is still because he had a better. I'll be able to pull it up here.
Just have a look. I thought Max was up just barely.
Yes, he is actually. So
there you go.
But not by much.
4 points. 5 points. Yeah.
So very, very close. But yeah. I will give a shout out to Valtteri Bottas too. He drove from last, all the way from last, up into third.
Yeah.
So he got driver of the day and he absolutely smashed it. So another flying Finn. And with that, we're going to finish off with like it, don't like it.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the boxing, Roscoe?
The boxing? What boxing? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not boxing. It's not boxing. The Spider's my favourite fighter in history. His fight doesn't count.
Oh, dear. Yes.
Amanda Holyfield. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I didn't watch it, and I don't think anyone else.
Look, the summary is Holyfield's old, Belfort's a bit younger. Finished him.
Helped the shit out of him.
Belfort's still got all those roids rolling through his skin.
Yeah. I'm sure they let him get on the.
I'm fairly
PEDs.
sure they both would have been on PEDs, man.
Look at
the way Holyfield looks that good and not doing something.
Holyfield looks better than what he looked when he was fighting.
He definitely looks bigger.
Yeah. So there was that fight and the Anderson fight, and Anderson just had it over him, and that was bad.
That was like halfway through the first round too. It was sad. He just leaned up against the ropes and went, okay. Just boom,
look, everyone's just throwing their hat in the ring. They all want that money.
Why wouldn't you want that money, but too?
You just wait. It'll be KSI versus Floyd Mayweather next year.
I did see an interesting point the other day, but it was about like all these UFC fighters hopping in a ring and fighting all like Jake Paul and that. And getting done. And it's like maybe now we can understand how good Conor McGregor went.
Yeah.
Because and like when you think about it, like all of a sudden, like I know Mayweather probably went a little easy late, but I don't know. I think he did pretty good at the same time. Like
exactly.
Very good.
Not very good. Well, let's move on to some like it, don't like it. Just finish off on a high note. So there's been conjecture in the past week, and I want to put this to you. The FIFA World Cup should be played every 2 years instead of every 4 years. Like it, don't like it.
Don't like it.
Don't like it. So for me, I don't like it either. I just feel as though it's another money grab by FIFA, and it just doesn't seem. I think the best thing about every 4 years, it tests your depth every time.
Yeah. Look, it doesn't make sense in the sense of Euros and Copa America is still played every fourth year.
In between.
So I understand that they want more international football to players have more experience in that and to play for their country, and the players love it and the rest of it. But like the players still love to play Euros and Copa America. That's still seen as not on the same level as the World Cup, but pretty close. And to expect them to have a World Cup every second year, what's the point?
Yeah,
just fix it when you have football. Don't just make a tournament play every 2 years.
Especially when we've just had the Euros and like we're still seeing like there's still some lethargic players coming back from Euros too. So. Just another competition, like on top of like Champions League and Europa League as well. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Keep it every 4 years. Just scrap everything else and restructure it. Like they need to just come up with a better structure for the off years. That's all they need to do. Like you've got like all the other sports that play every 4 years. Like you think the Olympics is every 4 years, but every 2 years you get a Commonwealth Games. You know what I mean? Like just structure it a little bit differently. But doing it every 2 years isn't the answer.
No. So the second one, we have Man City can win the Prem without an out-and-out striker. We sort of touched on this before, but I'd like to get everyone's opinion quickly.
Of course they can.
Muzzy?
Yeah, I think they can.
Yeah. Coxie?
No, I don't think they can. Gotta be different.
I don't think so.
Don't give him an inch, Coxie. Don't give him an inch. Of course they can. Too good.
We've got two more. The NRL should implement a wild card system for the NRL final. So you have a top 6, and then the 4 between 6 and 10 playoff in like a mini.
So the same as like the NBA introduced last year.
Yeah, like the NBA and like the NFL does as well.
Yeah,
so I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it because you do get teams going on a run. Like, I think the best 8 teams were there this year. But in the past, like you see teams build late, and some would argue that no, they should have done it.
I think it would have been interesting to see Sharks and Raiders, for example, this year have an opportunity to have a playing game for that.
Yeah, I think
not that I'm disagreeing with you, Snake, or saying that they didn't. I think that they didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would have been interesting to have them in there with the Knights, tossing it up with those guys as well.
Because I think the Knights were the team that got the luckiest and they finished 7th. They just got a good run home late. The Sharks are the ones that were unlucky to miss out. I think they were better than Newcastle, but I understand it both ways, but I do like a wild card.
I'm going to say I don't like it purely on the basis that I don't think we have enough teams for it to work properly. If we had like 18 or 20 teams in the comp, I think it'd work a bit better because you got that sort of width in the comp in terms of talent.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
we will soon because you get another team in Queensland next year. Well, not next year, the year after. So
yeah,
we will soon. But yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Final one. Finish off on a good note. The minor premiership should have more meaning and it should be worth more prize money for the teams that win it. 100%. So currently at the minute, it stands at $100,000 to win the minor premiership.
Is this NRL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's chump change.
I know we're trying to grow the game and it's going to be tougher for the lower end teams to win the minor premiership, but it also gives a proper nod to the team that's at the top of the table.
You think about it like this, right? So they get $100,000. Trent Robinson got fined $40,000 for berating a ref. So that's you know what I mean?
So you've lost half of it already too.
The distribution of funds can't be right there. $100,000 is nothing. I know it gets shared out amongst the playing group, but all of a sudden there's 30 people in a squad. Most clubs evenly split it because they feel like that's the fairest way of doing it. All of a sudden, it's not a great deal of money. And the disappointment of Melbourne lifting the trophy at the end of the game the other day, it was just Bellamy and Finucane out there, the two of them. There was no excitement.
But there was nothing around it that sort of gave it that.
Even Roscoe, me and you have been to the game where the minor premiership's been handed out. We were at a Roosters Parramatta game when the minor premiership got handed out. There was no fanfare to that.
No, there wasn't. But there was also no one in the crowd either. It was.
Well, no, it was a Roosters Parramatta game at Ainsworth Stadium, so she was stretched pretty thin, but I had a good time.
I think the other thing is even if they had maybe $400,000 goes to people in the club, and then they do $100,000 to develop their junior system or something.
Perfect.
Put it towards that. I don't know. Seems pretty black and white for me, but it is what it is. And that's
just before we go, one person we missed in the news is Dylan Alcott. Golden Slam, tremendous effort. I don't think we can leave that untouched. I think that's a tremendous effort and well done to him.
Yeah, and I think he's announced his retirement from the Olympics.
Does he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, realistically, by the time we go around again, he'll be mid-30s, and knowing from experience, with family members that are in wheelchairs and stuff, your shoulders go pretty quickly. So, but congratulations to him.
Yeah,
good way to finish the pod, lads. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.